All right, everyone. For 34 years, the entire Linux world has operated on a single, unspoken, and slightly terrifying assumption that Linus Torvalds is, well, immortal. What would happen if he suddenly wasn't there? If he got hit by the proverbial bus? For the first time ever, we have an answer, a real, documented plan. It's a big deal. And that's just the start. This week, GNOME finally did it. They're leaving X11 behind for good. MX Linux is bringing back a feature that made it famous, and AMD is giving HDMI some much needed open source love. Let's get into it. So, the big story, the Linux kernel continuity plan. It was merged into Linux 6.19 this past week, and it formalizes what happens if Linus's main Git repository goes dark. It's not about replacing Linus as a person, but ensuring the process of kernel development doesn't grind to a halt. Within 72 hours, the organizer of the last Maintainer Summit, backed by the Linux Foundation's Technical Advisory Board, will get the ball rolling. A meeting will be called, and within 2 weeks, the community will know the path forward. It's a simple, clear, and frankly, long overdue piece of project governance. It shows a level of maturity that is just fantastic to see. Speaking of Linux 6.19, the 7th release candidate, RC7, is out. Linus notes that it's a bit larger than usual for this stage, so he's glad he planned for an extra release candidate week due to the holidays. The final, stable release of 6.19 is expected around February 8th. A few other quick but important kernel fixes landed. The experimental Next Bunterable Buddy scheduler has been disabled for now due to some performance abundance. The Started with Next Buddy scheduler is being disabled for now. The first from the band, which is very released into the project least, in the release kernel best for making the AMD GPU driver to fix some bugs that crept into 6.19, and a subtle but 5-year-old bug in the page fault handling code has been squashed. All good, solid progress. This was a great week for distro lovers. MX Linux dropped version 25.1 and they've brought back a fan favorite feature, Dual-Init support. That's right, you can now choose whether to boot with good old sysvinit or systemd right from the live ISO. They had split them into separate ISOs for the 25.0 release, but now the choice is back in one place. The new release is based on the very fresh Debian 13.3 Trixie and ships with either the 6.12 or the 6.18 LTS kernel, depending on whether you grab the standard or advanced hardware support version. It's a testament to the MX Linux team's commitment to user choice. And for you Arch fans, CachyOS released their January ISO, and they are going all in on Wayland. It now defaults to a Wayland session with the latest KDE Plasma 6.5.5 and even uses the new Plasma Login Manager. It's another strong signal that the future of the Linux desktop is, well, we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, let's talk about GNOME. The first alpha for GNOME 50 is out, and this is the big one. The X11 session is gone. Completely. Removed. Wow. GNOME 50, scheduled for a stable release in March, will be a Wayland-only desktop. For a project of this size and importance, powering the default experience on Ubuntu, Fedora, and so many others, this is a monumental shift. They're also working on initial support for session save and restore, which is another long-awaited feature. But the removal of X11 is the headline. The transition is happening, folks. Not to be outdone, the KDE team has been busy squashing bugs. The past week saw at least 9 crash fixes merged for Plasma, including a funny one where Kwin could crash if you wiggled your mouse frantically to stop your monitor from sleeping. We've all been there. They're also preparing for Plasma 6.7, which will feature a new UI for setting up shared printers on Windows networks. This is huge for Linux gamers. AMD engineers have posted a new version of their patch series to bring some much needed HDMI features to the open source AMD GPU driver. We're talking about HDMI Variable Rate Refresh, or VRR, and Auto Low Latency Mode, ALLM. Because the HDMI forum keeps the HDMI 2.1 spec behind closed doors, developers had to implement it through, let's call it, creative engineering and trial and error. This new patch series brings us one step closer to getting features like FreeSync over HDMI, a major pain point for a long time. It's too late for the next kernel release, but we could see this land by summer, a massive win for open source drivers. And for Team Green, a new NVIDIA driver, version 590.48.01, was released, which reportedly fixes some long-standing DirectX 12 performance issues on Linux. Better late than never. The gaming news just keeps coming. Valve released Proton 10.0-4, bringing a whole new slate of Windows games over to Linux. We're talking about titles like Metal Slug Awakening, Quantum Threshold, and Surgeon Simulator Experience Reality, now being playable on your Linux rig or Steam Deck. And on the community side, System76 continues to polish its homegrown Cosmic desktop. This week, they finally added window shadows and consistent corner rounding, which adds a much-needed layer of visual depth and refinement. It's looking more and more like a top-tier desktop environment with every update. In the world of AI, the Linux Foundation announced its 2026 event schedule with a heavy focus on open source AI and agentic systems. It's clear that Linux is, and will continue to be, the backbone of the AI revolution. On a more cautionary note, security researchers discovered a new piece of Linux malware called VoidLink that appears to have been built almost entirely by an AI, generating 88,000 lines of code in just days. It's a stark reminder that these powerful tools can be used for both good and ill. So, a week of big decisions and future-proofing. A continuity plan for the kernel, GNOME is committing fully to Wayland, and user choice is winning out with MX Linux. It feels like the Linux ecosystem is making some really mature, forward-looking moves. What do you think about all this? Is the death of X11 a good thing? Are you excited about the new AMD gaming features? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give that like button a click, and if you want to stay up to date on everything happening in the world of Linux, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.